Compton 40. Edridge 48. Just a hunch that Hassett might bowl at the end. He may just keep the great bowlers on till the final moment. Anyway, as soon as I see him approaching, I'll hand over to Brian Johnston, who can always deal with these light matters so well. Didn't play that. Last ball. England 117 for 2. May caught Davidson, bowled Miller 37. Webber's nodded. It's last one coming up now. It's a nice stroke. Well fielded by Harvey. The end of the over. May caught Davidson, bowled Miller 37. Edridge not out 48. And Compton not out 14. Someone facetiously remarks the new ball is due in 7 overs. Well, the new ball, the mention of the new ball, connection with Lindwall and Miller has caused us our knees to knock, metaphorically speaking, all this rubber, but it doesn't do so anymore. I think they'll save the 37 and sixpence or whatever fabulous price balls cost now. And it's Miller, it's Lindwall again though. Lindwall to Edridge. Edridge wanting 2 for his 50. The leg trap's still there, but there's now a long leg. Lindwall making a crack, I see, to umpire Frank Lee there. Maybe something to do with his drag, I don't know. But as Bertie Oldfield, who's with us here, has just pointed out, really, Lindwall is quite exhausted. He's carrying on in that lovely way. Lovely rhythmic action. But it's all over. Edridge 49. 14 more to get. No one can tell whether Hassett missed it or whether he was foxy. He's the most sphinx-like, enigmatical little man. Nice stroke. Well fielded by Archer. As you look round this field, you realise what Australia have got in the future in young players like Archer and Ho and Davidson. Magnificent innings of 49 he played yesterday. Much slower and a very obvious tempt which Compton lets go by. The last ball of this over by Lindwall. Full pitch. He doesn't time it. Plays it rather late and goes down just a little bit on the leg side. England score 118 for 2. May caught Davidson Miller 37. Edridge not out 49. And Compton not out 14. The bowling figures. Lindwall now 19 overs, 0 for 42. Miller 11 overs, 1 for 24. Johnston 27 overs, 0 for 51. And now Brian Johnston for this over by Johnston over to his namesake.
Well fielded again by that wonderful Davidson. Goodness, he saved some runs. Fielded by De Courcy again. Well fielded by Graham Hole. We see Ron. Well, can we just have a look at Ron Archer? I was merely say to someone just now, he was age 1 when Australia last won back the Ashes. Rather remarkable. Here he is playing in this game. Chap on the right there looking as young as he is, age 19, just age 1 when England last held the Ashes. Harvey fields that. Off his pad. Maiden over, England 118 for 2, 14 runs still needed, with Edridge still on 49 and Compton 14. Peter May was out this morning for 37, caught Davidson Miller. 1, 3, 2 are the figures which are going to set up a huge cheer here, if and when they come on that board. That's what you might call the starting line we're looking at. I'm sure everybody will leap over that board and race for the pavilion. I'm wondering if the players will get in time. And Miller comes up again to Compton. Lindwall, not Miller, Lindwall. And that's going to be 2 runs, I think. Only 1. 1 more run to Compton, 15. And England 119 for 2, 13 runs to get. Lindwall to Edridge, needing 1 for his 50. A nice one past that. Hassett's after it. That's his 50. Well done, little Bill Edridge. 3¼ hours worth of invaluable batting to England. 6 fours in it. Eleven runs needed to win. Goes to Johnston mid-wicket. No, they won't run. Down to Harvey at mid-off. England 121 for 2 with Edridge 51, Compton 15, still needing 11 runs to win. Harvey had some private joke there with Miller, who passes it on to Dennis Compton. The great thing about this show has been the wonderful spirit that's been played between the two sides. They're always talking and joking with each other on the field. And that's another 2 runs possibly to Compton. No, they won't come back. And Lindwall doing a bit of footwork with it. And Compton eager for another run, but no, 16 not out to him. England 122 for 2. And there's Ronnie Eyre, the secretary of the MCC, just congratulating obviously Peter May on a very fine innings. And there's Trevor Bailey next door to him. Peter May made 37, a very fine innings before he was caught by Davidson off Miller. And there's Wardle coming down to sit down alongside him, the 12th man. Ten runs needed to win. Down to Morris. Harvey rushing in. The Australians still giving absolutely nothing away. One ball to go, this over from Johnston's. Down to Morris again. And there we are, 10 runs needed. Number 2, Edridge. Number 4, Compton. The man out, Peter May, caught Davidson Bell Miller. You see those two boys in the score box. Had a wonderful view all through this wonderful match. Still putting up the number of overs. The 62nd over coming up. Perhaps they'll be able to say they've put up the winning run, one of those. They fiddle the knobs very quickly to get the runs up. Probably be a great scramble to be the chap to do it. Lindwall again. Compton. A very wide one. I got he's a long way from it too. And Lindwall making some gesture. Whether he wants his short legs to come in closer, I'm not sure. Maybe he's signalling to Dennis Compton to come down the wicket and hit him. I don't know. That was the sort of one he got caught out in the first innings, and a slightly slower one it was. Good picture. Young Archer just doing a bit of manicuring, ready for celebrations tonight perhaps. Lindwall coming up. Fielded by Bill Johnston, mid-wicket. Lindwall running up. Goes to Bill Johnson, but just wide of him. And he's got a bit of rough ground just in front of him. They get just the one run, making Compton 17. England 123 for 2, 9 runs needed. See that Bill Edwards is still taking the thing very seriously. Slight smile there, though. Archer. Lindwall starting his run. Very well fielded indeed. England 123 for 2, Edridge 51, Compton 17. Still 9 runs away from the Ashes. Keith Miller. Langley, they're all looking round rather expectant as if Hassett is going to bowl. And I think he is. Yes, look at him. Bill Johnston coming off. And a great reception for Johnston, who bowled 23 overs today non-stop. 36 runs only scored off him in that time. I don't know if you got that, but that was Mr. Caster, the Secretary of Surrey, asking the spectators to avoid the middle when they come out to hear the captains at the end of the game. And here is the little man, Lindsay Hassett, who's contributed so much to the sporting nature of these contests, doing a very professional workout, so to speak, before he bowls. And the field well spread out, and he's being reinforced by some policemen on the boundary. On the leg side, he's got about 10 policemen to field his hits. There they are, all waiting for that leg side catch. He saw how that turned, it spun, it swung in from the leg, then went to the off, and then I think came in and kept low. Jolly good ball. fun. It swung in from the leg, then went to the off, and then I think came in and kept low. Jolly good ball. And Compton just strokes that one rather kindly, and de Courcy feels it. So Compton's now 18, England 124 for 2, 8 runs needed. And I suppose off a bowler like Hassett, it's possible to get those runs with one hit. It's all right, he can't hear me, he's out there. Fielded by Archer. I don't know who he may select to bowl this end. He might give it to the vice-captain, Arthur Morris. And it's coming down. I think that's not off Hassett's analysis, though. Miller's after it. They've run 2. Did he get a touch or not? Yes, Edridge got a touch. So that spoiled Hassett's analysis. Makes Edridge 53, England 126 for 2. And they only need 6 runs. Well, one knows what the perfect finish to this match would be. A 6 right over the side screen the other end. And everybody's shouting out a 6 in the crowd. See if he tosses it up. Oh my goodness. Hassett making real use of this wicket. Make better use of it if he pitched the ball, but still, there we are. Another single to de Courcy down there, and Edridge is now 54, England 127 for 2, 5 runs to get. And a great applause for that fine piece of bowling, and Arthur Morris is going to bowl this end. There we are, the score. 1-3-2 is what England hoped to see up there. Number 2 is Edridge. Now Arthur Morris is not at all a bad left-arm bowler. He actually got Bedser out at Manchester. He's certainly quite a bit of a juggler with the ball anyhow, and a most popular figure. I think we'll see quite a lot of field changes now. Where's he going to place his field? And funnily enough, the buses seem to be held up in the traffic. That's a coincidence, isn't it? I think the conductor got a few extra fares to stop there. Now, what have we got? We've got fairly orthodox field. He's going to bowl over the wicket to Edridge. And well fielded once again by Harvey. 5 runs needed, remember. Do you see how that turned then? Very vicious ball by Morris. A very quick one. Morris might at least get a run out off his over, but no, he won't get a wicket. So it's another one to Bill Edridge, 55 to him. England 128 for 2, and 4 runs needed. Now, will this be got in one stroke or? No, brilliantly fielded by Davidson. Two balls to go this over from Morris. 4 runs to get. No, is it the Ashes? Yes, England have won the Ashes. And the race of all time, what a scene here. No policeman can hope to stop this. The players will only just get through this narrow gap. There's Edridge, bat aloft. All you can see is like a submarine going along with a periscope. come the gallant Australians. They've even called in the lady police, I see. And the umpires are still trapped in the crowd. And here comes Frank Lee under a police escort. I think with one of the stumps or so in his cap. And Di Davis as well. They've got the stumps, they haven't been seized by the players. I must say, this is the sight which English eyes have been waiting for over 19 years. Well, the Oval Pavilion's a pretty big place, and the captains have got to get down to the Secretary's office. I'm sure they'll address the crowd any moment, and they have respected the Secretary's wish to protect the business. Certainly get Len in a minute when he's got time, I think, to get down to make a speech to them. As soon as we hear the captain start speaking, we shall listen in on the public address system here. I think they won't be appearing on the balcony when they make their speech. They'll be doing it from the Secretary's office where his microphone is. And then we hope to get some of the players up here to interview them after the game. Explained to the crowd that Len Hutton's going down to his office to speak. And he'll speak over the public address system. What a wonderful moment for England's first professional captain to have brought back the Ashes. There are the Australians, de Courcy down in front. That's Graham Hole standing up at the back. And they have given us a wonderful season's cricket. There's Bill Johnston beaming there in the background. Don Talon on the right. I think they've been watching a great deal of this series on their television set in the dressing room. There's little Neil Harvey behind the chap with the pipe. Ian Craig, the youngest member, 18-year-old, looking round at us. All waiting to hear Len Hutton and Lindsay Hassett speak, as I'm sure they're going to do any moment. I think Len Hutton's having great difficulty getting down to the Secretary's office through the crowd of Surrey members who will be wanting to clap him on the back as he... I think Len Hutton's having great difficulty getting down to the Secretary's office through the crowd of Surrey members who will be wanting to clap him on the back as he makes his way down. And we're hoping to get him up here as soon as he's made his speech so we can get him to speak to you personally. We hope that we should get players from both sides to come up, but you can imagine what they're feeling like after this terrific series. We're hoping to grab them from their bottles of champagne and get them to come up. Special cheer from the crowd there for Trevor Bailey, you noted. Lindsay getting down to business. Lovely to see him smiling like that in the picture. And I think that they're going down to make their speeches. I'm sure that those microphones were for the newsreels up here. I think they wouldn't go out to the crowd. Alec looking very worried. Oh, I don't think I better. What are those things? Well, we hope to get Alec up to us in a second if we can. Well, slightly sad faces, but well, they've had a wonderful season and they've given us some great cricket. Neil Harvey on the left, Graham Hole facing us. De Courcy taking a picture of the crowd, little Richie. No, just in front of him. Harvey, who must have saved so many hundreds of runs in this series.
Occasions, but I must say how happy and thrilled I feel about it all today. And to happen here at the Oval, which of course has always been a very happy hunting ground for me. But I feel a little bit sorry. I feel a little bit sorry for my friend Lindsay Hassett, who has had a very hard time this season, and what a wonderful opposition captain he has been to play against. May Australia continue to produce cricketers of the calibre of Lindsay Hassett. He has done so much for this game, not only here but in Australia and various parts of the world. I would just like to say thank you all for this wonderful reception. Thank you. Happy Warrior, Lindsay Hassett.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to offer my congratulations to Len and to all of the English team. There's no doubt about this victory. They earned it right from the very first ball to the second last over anyway. I suppose it is rather obvious to you now that Australia has been playing under some sort of a disadvantage right throughout the season because of my injured right forearm. Anyway, it has been wonderful fun, and in congratulating Len, I would also like to congratulate him and the players on the wonderful manner in which they've played all of the test matches this year. As far as I know, there hasn't been one incident out of place, and I'm quite sure that if you could see how friendly all of the members of the English team are with all of the members of the Australian team, well, you could hardly understand how they look hostile to each other out in the field. I'd like to also congratulate the crowd here at the Oval for a very sporting demonstration. I feel rather proud of the way the Australian team played, and and it seemed obvious to me that you also enjoyed the way they played. Anyway, we'll be waiting for you in Australia in a couple of years' time, and I hope anyway, when whoever wins out there, that the cricket will be just as enjoyable and the result just as close as this series. Thank you very much.
Crowd calling for Alec, and I don't know if he can address them through those microphones or not. In a moment, we think the crowd will probably move away, and we're going to get Jim Swanton to give us just his immediate thoughts on the match, this present match, and then this evening he'll give a more considered summary of the whole series. But I think it'll interest a lot of people to get his expert view on the game as it struck him. But we won't go until we're absolutely certain the crowd aren't going to start calling out, because it'll rather distract attention. We'll just have a look at them for a second or two more. They seem to be going. They've certainly had their money's worth here today in this very intense finish, although England won by 8 wickets. Anyone who's just switched on, by the way, the Ashes have been won by England. Perhaps they might wonder what the crowd were for. England just won the Ashes by 8 wickets. Well, they seem to be going away now, so just with the news that England have won the Ashes by 8 wickets, let's go over to Jim Swanton, who's up on the top of the roof here, and he'll be talking to you about this game. Meanwhile, we're going to try and collect some of the players. We hope to get Len Hutton and Lindsay Hassett up here if we can, and then after Jim Swanton's summary, we'll...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's very hard to say anything on this occasion which is not utterly obvious and banal. We are all so happy up here that I suppose you can imagine only a part of it if you're not here, marvellous as the medium of TV.
Well, now we're having a little bit of a sorting round with the cameras because Len Hutton and some of the English team have very kindly come up here. You can imagine they're very busy men at this moment, receiving congratulations, and I no doubt perhaps celebrating a little with a little champagne. At least I hope they are. They deserve it. Well, Len, may I first of all congratulate you on behalf of all television viewers and all listeners who are listening on having secured the Ashes for Australia. Oh, for England, I got the wrong team. And Len, would you like to say a few words to the viewers, how you feel at this moment? It's a stupid question, but it's one we'd like to know. I think it's that camera, if you'd like to look up there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am feeling very, very thrilled at the moment, and I really don't know what to say, but we have here Godfrey Evans, Trevor Bailey, and Alec Bedser, who have done a wonderful job for England during the past series of test matches. I do hope you've enjoyed watching the matches and listening to them as much as we have playing in them.
Well, Len, I know there's one question they'd like to know. I think at the end of last season you thought and said that we would win the Ashes. Now, did you really, in your heart of hearts, feel that, or...?
Yes, I thought we had a very good chance. I would have liked to have done it at Leeds in Yorkshire, but I don't... I'm very happy and well satisfied that we've managed to do it here at the Oval, which is, of course, one of my favourite grounds.
I tell you one thing you might do for the good of English cricket. Would you like to throw away that half a crown you've been tossing with? Or do you think it's a good thing to have lost the toss every time?
I threw it away at Leeds, and the following day a little boy came round with it mounted on a little piece of wood, which he asked me to autograph. And I don't believe really in lucky coins, and I just pick any
one out of the pocket, do you?
Yes.
Well then, once again, I know you want to go downstairs and do a lot of things. May I shake you by the hand on behalf of everybody who's listening and viewing, and perhaps we wish you a equally successful tour of the West Indies.
Thank you.
And then when's the next time? 1954 in Australia?
Yes.
Right, well, may you have equal luck then.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much for coming up, Len.
Thank you.
Well, now let's talk to one or two others who've done so much to contribute. We must remember this is definitely a team thing, this. I think we can say all the English team, and also those other members who have played in these other test matches and haven't been playing in this one. They all did their bits. We can think of people like Johnny Wardle, who was 12th man in this match, who did so much at Lord's. We've Reg Simpson and Roy Tattersall and Brian Statham, all those other players who aren't here today. But we have got up here, first of all, Trevor Bailey. Now, Trevor, we've seen an awful lot of you on television. We worked it out, Roy Webber. I think that you batted at one time, I think, about 18 hours against the Australians.
Very pleased to last as long as that. But, and naturally, I am extremely happy today. There is one person you didn't mention from the other test matches, and that's Willie Watson.
Willie Watson, your partner at Lord's, who made that wonderful century. Well, Trevor, we always say, whenever we see you, nothing Trevor likes more than a fight. Now, is that a fact? Do you really like the fight, or would you like to have a nice, easy time, going about 400 for naught at one?
Well, it'd make a change if I could. I think it'd be very, very nice. It would make a very, very pleasant change, too.
Well, you've done a wonderful job for England, and we've much enjoyed watching you do it.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
Right,
Yeah.
well, now we must get the big fella in next,
no.
I think. Come on, Alec. Well, Alec, I don't know what to say to you, really, because without you, I don't know what would have happened, but my goodness,
What
you
do you
bowled...
mean with batting, you mean?
You're batting, oh yes, yeah, we're talking, your bowling doesn't matter. It's that innings yesterday of 22. That gave you more pleasure than all the wickets.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You
no,
wouldn't?
no.
Well, now, what's your honest opinion of this series? Did you think you might have do as well as this?
Well, I thought we had a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
I put it just over 50-50. That's about what it's worked out, just over
It has been very level.
Yeah.
Now, are you a tired man after all? You've been trundling up and down there.
Oh, well, I think I've had a fairly good rest in this match, really.
You reckon there's a bit of a rest?
Yes, quite a good rest.
The only innings you didn't take a wicket the second innings.
Oh, well, what do you mean?
In this series.
Oh, in this series, yes. Yeah.
And what are you going to do in the winter? You're not going to the West Indies.
No, I'm not going there. No.
You can do a bit of what?
Oh, keep fit. Try to keep fit.
Play golf?
Training, play golf, yes.
Some more cricket next year.
Yes, I hope so.
And then there are some certain Australians to play against in the following winter, aren't there?
Well, if they ask me to go, yes, that's a rather important item, you know.
It's very important,
Yes.
but I can't see them not doing so. Well, Alec, congratulations on your wonderful bowling. It's been, obviously 100% towards England's success.
Hello, Brian. Thanks very much.
Right, well now Godfrey Evans, the chap who vitalised everything. He's like some of these patent cures you read about in the papers. Take Evans and you'll make 100. Right? Godfrey, how do you do it all? You always seem to be as live at the end of the day as you are at the beginning.
I wouldn't say that, Brian. I
Yes, you
rather
are.
enjoy playing, you know.
Do you?
Oh, yes.
You
rather,
enjoy your
yes.
cricket. And how have you felt about your own form in this series?
Well, I think it spoilt the bet I had with my batting because I don't seem to have got on very far this year. But I must say that wicket-keeping against the Australians is very hard work. And they've got some awkward left-handed batsmen that seem to get in line.
It's all round the corner, isn't it?
All over the place, and I've found it very difficult. And I've concentrated very hard on my wicket-keeping this year and tried to bring it up to scratch. And therefore I think the batting on the whole has
Suffered a little bit. I think it would be fair to say that you kept wicket in this match as well as in any of the other 5, isn't it? Isn't that true?
Yes, I should think so.
I thought you couldn't have done,
yes.
you couldn't have done. You're very modest. Just tell us about that run out. That must have been an awful feeling, was it?
Well, I was very disappointed, of course, when I found I'd slipped space over apex in the middle of the wicket. And
very politely put.
I was hoping to make the crease, but when most disappointed when the umpire's finger went up. But however, these things are sent to try us, I think, and it was a very awkward time to get out.
It made a good game because you were obviously set for 200 at the time.
Well, that could be so.
Well, anyhow, congratulations on a wonderful week keeping and have a jolly nice tour of the West Indies.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Right, now who else have we got here? We got Jim Laker. Now, Jim, you did a great piece of work on your old pitch, didn't you?
Oh, one or two
No, you
bits,
needn't be modest. We saw you bowling there. Was this the sort of wicket you like to bowl on, ideally? We're looking up at this camera. Sorry, we keep on looking the wrong one.
Yes, I think this is a pretty good wicket, friendly spin bowler.
And when did it, in your opinion, begin to take spin?
Actually, it turned a little on the first day, but really went, yesterday.
You disguised it a bit early on so they wouldn't see that, did you?
No, we didn't need many spinners the first day.
No. And you bowled a lot on this wicket. Is this the sort of normal wicket we get at the Oval now?
No, they vary a tremendous amount. But this, with extra preparation, I thought it might go this way.
Well, I must say, you bowled very well on it. You took advantage. You got some very important wickets.
Yes,
That
I
one which
suppose
got
so.
Lindsay must have turned a lot, didn't it?
That one went quickly. It's quicker than the others, I should think.
You gave a hell of a shout.
Yes, we've got to do it.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a successful winter too.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, the young chap's just standing behind me here, Fred Trueman, who hasn't had best of luck this season. He's been doing a lot of RAFing and all that, and he hasn't had a lot of time for cricket, but he's certainly come back with a bang in this test match. Freddie, you were bowling, I think, as fast as you ever have in this first innings, weren't you?
Well, I don't really know. I don't really know how fast I can bowl.
You don't? So you've never been in the receiving end?
Well, I've been on the receiving end of Linwall, and I don't want to meet many bowlers as quick as what he is. So,
Have you studied his technique, his bowling technique?
yes, actually I've been very interested in Linwall's got such a beautiful approach to the wicket, and that is, in my opinion, as being the most interesting part I have seen in Linwall. Also, I watched the way he disguises his pace, and in the last few yards of his run-up, he seems to be going full speed and straight over, and that's
what you're aiming at, is it?
well, that's my ambition. That's what I want to try and do if I can.
Well, you certainly get a lot of speed out of it. This matter of altering your pace is very tricky to do it without the batsman knowing, isn't it?
Yes, but Linwall makes it look so easy, you see. I made up my mind this year, as if I ever did get the chance of seeing Ray Linwall bowl, that was what I wanted to do, was to really study him and see if I could pick up some tips which I knew I would be able to pick up in.
Yes, well, you've still got a good many years to go, so good luck to you in those years to come, and congratulations on your performance in this match.
Thank you very much, Brian, and I'll do my best in the future.
Right,
Thank you.
and now for the father of a new boy, I think a new son, isn't it, Tony?
That's right, Brian.
Tony Locke, and the chap who took these 5 wickets against Australia. Congratulations, Tony. And
Thank
was this
you.
the sort of wicket you like bowling on?
Oh, it's perfect for me, yes.
It was
I
made
really-
for you, was
oh,
it?
lovely, yes.
We better emphasise that Bert Locke, the groundsman, is no relation of yours, is he?
No, most of the members when I first came here thought that he was my father, but I soon put pay to that.
He did. Well, how's your finger? Which finger was it with all the trouble about?
Oh, it's fine now, Brian.
I don't know if you can hold it out to the camera.
Sure.
And it's the skin just here, is it, which wears off?
It wears off and gets fairly raw at times.
But it looks a bit sore now.
No, it's quite good.
Well, anyhow, I hope it'll be all right. You give it a bit of a rest before you go to the West Indies, will you?
Too right, yes. I will.
Well, congratulations to you on your fielding and your bowling.
Thank you, Brian.
Well, now, we must just get Peter May before we go on to some other gentleman I want to introduce you to. Peter, congratulations on 2 very fine innings here on your home ground.
Thank you,
Your home ground.
Thank you, Brian.
And
Well, I had a bit of luck this morning, you know, actually. And
Well,
one
it's
or
very
two,
modest
one or
of you.
two went over the slips, but...
Yeah, but they counted 4 runs.
Oh,
didn't
well,
they?
they all count, yes, however you get them, you know.
Peter, you must have been a little bit disappointed chap after the first test when you were dropped, but you fought right back in form, haven't you?
Yes, well, it was wonderful to be here on this day to see the win.
You enjoyed it. Well, now, which of those bowlers now do you reckon was the most difficult to play out of the ones who played today?
Well, I think Johnston was today anyway, because he was getting a bit of lift out of the wicket.
Yeah.
And bowling over the wicket, pitching on your leg stump.
Yeah.
And the one or two that bothered me were, you know, a bit of jump.
You've got some beautiful off drives there.
Yes, one or two went all right.
Gave you a bit of satisfaction.
Yes, yes.
All right, Peter. Well, congratulations on 2 jolly good innings.
Thank you very much.
And we got Tom Graveney. We mustn't let him get away without it. Tom, you're smiling. I'm sure, am I right in saying Mrs. Graveney is watching?
No, not now. She's come down and she's here.
Is she?
No, yeah.
She's not seeing you. I know she has been watching a lot on the television, hasn't she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This
She
season?
never misses it.
She
Misses
doesn't.
a ball.
Well, Tom, you've had a not sort of good match for
Rather
you.
lean.
But you a lean match, is it? Well, you
Yeah.
can't always succeed, but you've done jolly well this season.
Thank you,
And you're off to the West Indies too?
I'm off to the West Indies, yeah.
Good. Well, I hope you have a jolly good tour there. And poor Mrs. Graveney will miss you for about 4 months.
She's left on her own.
Will she? All right, we'll have a lot
Thank
of
you,
luck.
Brian.
And Johnny Wardle hiding behind there. Chap who's had a lot of bad luck. You've often turned up at a game and been told you aren't playing, or you always stand by and you put up a terrific performance at Lord's anyhow.
Resident 12th man.
Resident 12. Well, I think you're a jolly chap, all one, Johnny.
Yes, yes. I'm very pleased to see that we've managed to deal with them.
Yes, and you had a very good match at Lord's.
Reasonable match anyway.
Very reasonable, you call it.
Yes,
I thought you did a lot of work
wasn't-
and did it very well.
Thank you.
And you're going off to the West Indies too?
Yes, yes, pleased to say that I am.
Is Mrs. Wardle down here? We saw her up at
Yes,
Old
she's
Trafford.
been at the match, all the match.
She has.
She was very disappointed when I wasn't playing, but she's managed to get over that.
She thinks
now.
you carry out the drinks pretty well, does she?
Yes, I'm very good at that.
All right, Johnny. Well, good luck to you too.
Thank you.
Well, now there's one gentleman I'd like to introduce to you. I'm sure you've seen him before. In fact, you saw him if you were viewing in the Lord's Test match. It's the chap who gets all the bricks thrown at him when things go wrong, and people are very apt to forget him when things go right, as they have done today. And so on your behalf, television viewers and all the others listening, I'd like to congratulate Freddie Brown, the chairman of the selectors.
Thank you, Brian.
Freddie,
Thank you
very sincere congratulations, because I think yours is a very difficult job. There must be over 22 million other selectors in the country. They all choose different teams, and you're always wrong.
Well, yes, but we're right today.
You are
Thank
right
goodness.
today. Have you worked on a sort of system all the way through?
Well, yes, we tried to start with a team. We've had to make changes naturally, but we tried to make as few changes as possible. And I think we've eventually come with probably the best team that England has turned out in this series. We've been handicapped with Locke's injury, and Trueman wasn't in the form we hoped at the beginning of the year, but fortunately they've both turned up trumps in this match.
Will you let us into a secret? Did you keep Freddie Trueman as a bit of a dark horse for this final
Oh
match?
no, we wanted him before, but well, we didn't play him, that's all.
Well, I must say you have had a lot of brick bats. Do they bounce off you all right?
Yes, I think these shoulders have taken quite a bit, but I think I can take it.
Well, I think you can. And you cheered us up a great deal at Lord's, and we saw you playing when you walked in at that rather awkward moment, about 10 to 6 or something, wasn't it?
5 to 6.
What did you feel like then?
Well, I don't quite know. I think I felt that a lot depended on me, but it was no good me playing doggo, as it were.
No.
And when I saw there were no spectators round the ring to throw the ball back, I thought, well, if I hit 1 or 2 out there, it might take a little longer. And fortunately, the Australians bowled the odd half volley, which I managed to connect with.
You nearly took off whose head? Someone's head of mid-off, you nearly.
I think it was. It wasn't very high, though.
All right, Freddie. Well, may I congratulate you, and we must remember your other 3 selectors, and Len Hutton himself.
Yes,
who had
well, we're naturally very delighted, and everybody has pulled their weight in this series and done a wonderful job. There isn't anybody who hasn't pulled his weight. And Len, I believe, I think has captained the side magnificently, and the fellows have all backed him up 100%. As selectors, we're naturally, as I say, delighted, and it's been a great thrill for us to be able to say that we have selected a side that's regained the Ashes after so many years.
Yes, well, it must be a great feeling, and I hope we have a jolly good evening celebration, Freddie.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Right, well now, just finally, before we close, I would like to introduce you to someone who has done a terrific amount for the future of English cricket. He's doing a great deal now for all these youth cricket associations. It's Harry Altham, who's treasurer of the MCC, and I think, Harry, if I may, I'd like to ask you how you feel now about the future of English cricket, because you do so much for it. Would you like to talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I think this series, and particularly today's great finish, must prove a tremendous inspiration to every young cricketer in this country. When I think of the hundreds of thousands of them who've been watching these test matches, either in person or far more of them through their imagination, on television, or through the press, or listening in, they must have got a tremendous kick.
I think they did.
And particularly from this triumphant finish today. And I'm sure it'll help them to go out and play the game themselves, wherever it may be. I only wish more of them had a chance of playing it under reasonably decent conditions. That's what we really want to achieve. But they'll go out and play it harder and keener and more enjoyably because of what's happened through these test matches and above all at the Oval today.
I think they have got a great inspiration. Now, you're doing a great deal with this group coaching, Harry, to try and get as many people possible to learn about the game, aren't you?
Yes, it had been quite easy for us through this MCC scheme to have concentrated on the most promising few players. That's not been our object. Our aim is to help every single boy in this country who loves cricket and wants to play it to get more of it and to get better cricket.